Okay. All right. So the meeting is now called to order at 6:01. Karen, can you please do roll call?
Certainly. Vanessa Apochypher, President. Michelle Bootsy, Alex Palazzo, Idan Eckstein,
Here.
Sean Fee,
Here.
Ron Goff,
Here.
Colette Kino, Don Mizell, Marcia Rexo, here. Solomon Schoonover,
Present.
Anna Brad-Sinas, here. Patricia Zeiler, and Chair Oglesby.
Present.
We do have
Thank
a
you. Thank you. At this time, we're going to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I believe they're going to put it on the TV since we don't have the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And now we'll have the approval of the minutes. If you can, please review the minutes and offer any corrections. Yes.
So I don't know if I said this or not,
Probably not.
but I don't feel this way, so I'm not
Okay.
sure if I did. It says that Mr. Eckstein added that the city already has many pickleball courts, and the need for 4 more should be questioned. It's on. It doesn't have a page number. I just ripped it out. Yeah, it's the last page. Last page, first paragraph. I just don't remember saying it, so I don't. Maybe
Can we strike that?
No, if it, we'd have to go back to the tape,
Okay.
in which case, Leanna, if you want to validate that.
Yeah.
That statement. She can work with our minutes writer.
Mhm.
We cannot strike it if it's on the trace.
So there'll be a review.
Subject, yeah.
Go to the next picture.
What paragraph is that? So I can make a note.
It's in section 5.
Section 5, second paragraph, and I think it's the third sentence. Or, no, fourth sentence.
Thank you, Patricia.
Okay.
Any other changes? Hearing none, can we approve? Can we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Subject to
Subject to change, yeah, subject to verification of what was stated in paragraph 5. Do we have a second? Second. Thank you. Do we need a roll call vote? Okay. At this time, I'd like to call. I'm sorry. All in favor? Thank you, guys.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, hearing. Motion carries. Thank you. At this time, we'd like to invite Alex up for an update on the parks bond.
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Wednesday. So, coming to the board today to what changed from previous group resolution that we got on the meeting from May 27th. So, we just go over change the funding source. We're proposing to change the funding source from the 7 parks from this four that you guys approved in the previous meeting. So this was, I promise I'm trying to do it. So this slide shows what was proposed in the last meeting to use the 1.1 out of the 1.3 available from the Port Lauderdale Beach project to fund the following projects. This was already approved by you guys in the previous one. Then the city, we opted to change that fund source to continue working with Port Lauderdale Beach without changing the funding. So because of that, then this is the proposed amendment for the funding strategy. It's the same projects, nothing changed, same amount. The only difference to fund from. It's gonna be instead of prioritization, we're gonna be proposing using the interest earned on the series 2028 the bond. So the same interest money that we have available that we can use it right now. That way we don't have to affect any other project. As I explained, city staff opted to continue with the Florida division improvement without affecting its current budget funding. Nothing else. So continue with that project with permitting, planning, and continue with that one. And then the proposed plan will be to once again, we get the third tranche of money, we can recuperate the money that was used or intended to be used through the interest. So this time I provided a proposed motion that's gonna be easier for you guys to and from there move on. So the motion, this is the proposed motion to approve the appropriation of 1.1 million of interest earned from the General Obligation Bond Series 2022A debt to advance the following seven parks bond projects that were slated to be funded in the third tranche of parks bond debt issuance. Stratton Parks, Mookie Park, Cliff Lakes, Park Poinciana Park, Cliff Lakes Park, Poinciana Park, Snyder Park, Orbit's Park, Marshall's Point Park. You can do the changes you want, just something similar, simple, so you can read. Yeah, there's a recommendation. So, yes, of course. My own.
Just to make sure, staff is recommending verbiage to assist you, but of course, the maker of the motion
Of course.
modified that.
That's it. Exhibit 1 that I provided is just the same information from the previous meeting with all the scopes of each one of the projects. So we can move forward, nothing changed. Just the funding source, of course.
Alex, can you remind us on the May 27th
Yes,
why we decided to take the money away from the
yes.
improvements?
The reason was because there was $1.3 million sit down there, and basically we want to start with the planning and permitting, which is gonna take a long time. So it's not gonna be spent. The 1.3 is not gonna be spent right away because the permitting for working on having proposed works in the beach area takes a long time. We might, I don't want to say anything in advance because nothing is concrete, but we might change a little bit the plans, and if we move forward and we change the development inside or west of the coastal area, permits might be a little faster than anticipated. So because of that possibility, money's gonna be there, but because we don't know how it's gonna take, we don't want to jeopardize that funding right now. We prefer to leave it there, and if we can spend it faster, the better.
So the proposed improvements, they've already approved and you want to sign, you want to have a matter about it.
No, we're now working on the planning stage. So we know the scope based on the master plan. A couple more things were requested to be added. And we have already given we already received a task order from the consultant to work on the initial planning and permit investigation through all the agencies. So that's the one we're right now. This is the phase we are right now. As soon as we get this first planning results along with the permitting needed and schedule, tentative scale of time, we'll present it to the community and everybody to be open and approve or change. That's the plan.
Okay. Thank you.
Of course.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the appropriation of 1.1 million of interest earned from the General Obligations Bond Series 2022A debt to advance the following 7 parks bond projects that were slated to be funded in the third tranche of the parks bond debt issuance. Sternham Park, Smoker Park, Cliff Lakes Park, Poinciana Park, Snyder Park, Corvettes Park, Marshall Point Park.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, do we need a roll call vote?
Yes.
Just a moment, please.
No worries.
It sounds as if you read the staff regulation. Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Okay. So motion by Apotheker, second
Yes.
by Eckstein. Okay, Ms. Apotheker. Confirming yes. Okay. Ms. Coatsy. Mr. Eckstein, seconded? Yes?
Actually, Ms. Coetzee seconded. I think she,
You actually spoke first. So,
but yes.
thank you for confirming. Mr. Fee?
Yes.
Mr. Goff?
Yes.
Ms. Rexo? Yes. Mr. Schoonover?
Abstain.
Abstain. Okay, so we need to fill out a form.
Yes.
To-
The reason for it is because my in-laws have a development on Smoker Park. I don't want any appearance of conflict of interest or anything like that.
Yes, you can get him from the post office. So Rihanna has to present you with a form so you can complete.
You said
Yeah,
yes.
and you did that last time also.
Yes, so that's the exact same form, and you'll state your, conflict. Now, do you believe that this conflict will inure to any benefit?
I don't know
Okay,
per se, but any funding that could possibly go towards that park, I think would be viewed as such.
okay,
And I just would prefer not to,
thank you.
enter
I
into
just wanted to ask you.
Point of clarification, you said they have property adjacent.
Adjacent.
Thank you.
You can get that to me now. We're presenting you with the form, and you can complete it and return it to staff.
Okay, when do I have to return it on? I'll do it right now. I'll do it right now.
Okay,
Thank you.
Ms. Fratsinas?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. And Chair Oglesby?
Yes,
Unanimous.
thank you. Thank you very much, Alex.
Thank you very much. I just want 1 minute to introduce you
Okay.
guys a very important person within the team. So Project Manager 2, Mark Isaac, he has been with the bond side by side, right man, and making things happening from A to Z. So again, you're gonna see him a lot more. And there's a few reasons. One of the reasons is even though I'm gonna be supporting and working with the bond for the next months, now we'll be working as a facility manager for the city of Lauderdale. So not directly overseeing the bond, but still supporting the bond on any possible capacity. So he's a great engineer, and you're gonna hear a lot about him. So all of things going under the curtain is because this guy is working a lot hard. So
Well, welcome.
For clarity, Alex is promoted.
facilities manager.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank
Yes.
you very much.
Thank you.
So now Mark Isaac is your circuit.
All right. Miss Amy, can you please provide the department update?
Sure, so my presentation comes up.
Oh, he does? Was it a change?
No. The slide is first.
Oh,
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Amy G. Baptiste, Recreation Deputy Director. I'm actually gonna wait for the picture.
it was almost there.
And while Carl is standing up, you can start with the campus presentation.
Yes, so good evening,
Good
everyone.
evening.
So as you know, this past Sunday, we hosted the Florida Panthers on the Barrier Island. The parade route went from Sunrise to, was that Rio Mar, Mr. Mar, to ending at just before South Beach, which is just where Fifth Street takes place. If you probably have heard some of the reports, we had about 400,000 people. Now, mind you, for context, the city of Fort Lauderdale has, I want to say, 190,000 residents. So just put that in context of what we have versus what we had shown. And so ultimately, it was a very well attended event. We had representation from essentially every department. I can't give enough kudos to police, fire, Chief Schultz, and Chief Bowman. They did an unbelievable job as it pertains to safety and security, EMS services. I mean, I can go on and on about them. They really did an outstanding job. I mean, if I held their respective roles, I would be very, very much anxiety laden the entire day. But it was a very, very hot day, but very good day. So that's essentially all I wanted to share with that. And we'll see if they repeat next year. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to compliment you guys on the staff that was out there all day and those water stations that you set up along the way. That was just brilliant.
Great.
Nice
I
one.
agree.
Yeah,
It was
so-
really well organized and I felt safe.
Yeah.
All of those are lessons learned from the first year. You notice the first year we didn't have like the water bottle stations. We didn't put out the monster water kegs we had out there. And so those are some lessons learned. So we were a little bit better this year. And first year it rained, so that kind of lessened the crowd. This year was hot, so it was a great beach day, and so we were able to pull it together. It was a true collective effort.
And I also think stage in there on A1A rather than Rio Mar. That was probably better for access for people to see them as they lined up. Rio Mar. So, nice.
And if you showed up to the parade after it ended, like let's say around 7 o'clock, if you didn't see the barricades, you wouldn't know it was there.
Yeah, that's true.
If you didn't what?
You wouldn't know the parade took place.
They cleaned up
They
so well.
cleaned up
They
very
cleaned up
well.
so well. They do a great job.
No, I went to the beach the next morning and it was really pretty.
Our sanitation group, they did absolutely. So I got
They really good. It was good.
Okay, so let's go to the next event next year. So upcoming events we have out of the Fort Lauderdale Aquatic Center is swimming for our master's team. So if you're available this weekend, feel free to stop by the Aquatic Center. Then we have Starlight Musical. So this is the last 6 of the 9 series. If you look at July 18th, July is Parks and Rec month, so it is a nationally recognized month. On June 30th, we'll be in front of the commission to recognize our team in support of Parks and Rec month. But on July 18th, we have Parks and Rec night, which essentially our team is welcome, and you all are welcome as well. If you are going to attend, please let me know because we'd love to recognize you all. Just recognize the amazing work that our team does and the performance for top hits with the Johnsters that night. Dignitary will be there as well, and then we have a surprise. So I can't say you have to surprise. You have to come to the surprise. Okay, our biggest internal event is 4th of July. So for parade, back on the beach to 4th of July. So from noon to 9:15, we have 4th of July. The first half of the day is at Los Olos Oceanside Park at the Loop, where we have DJ, Roundhouse Bass Paint, Art and Craft, Family Fun event. And then the night event is headlining with national act. We start the I Love the 90s tour, headlining with Vanilla Ice, Broad Bass, Tone Low, Did you say? So this will be very exciting this Friday. Next Friday, I should say. Last year was in vogue. Florida was in so I just feel like that. That would make it. And both really great last year.
No, that would make good.
All right, so our next series of events is David Dill Play Day. David Dill essentially was an activist in the community. He was a coach and mentor and an educator for the community. He passed away 7 years ago and dedicated a series of youth events to him. So here's a list of David Dill Play Day events. We have our teen night. We have a golf tournament. We have a family fun fit day in partnership with the Orange Bowl and Sunshine Health, which is essentially a book bag giveaway, free haircuts. This is a back to school event there. We also have National Night Against Crime, which is an event in collaboration with PD. And that's a national event that happens throughout the nation there. And then we have boxing under the stars as well. At Esplanade Park in August, we have our Sunday jazz brunch. I believe it's a few series, so it's at the tail end there. And then the last one there is Summer Jams, which Summer Jams also holds a national act, which we haven't announced just yet. Last year was Jagged Edge, which is an R&B group, and this is a pretty big event as well. It's a night event held at Mills Pond Park, and that's typically a concert that we can this summer. So it's a very, very big concert. Any questions?
Thank you. Thank you, Deputy Director. All right. Director Carl will now discuss outdoor events ordinance.
Okay. So, yeah, we've been here before. So real quick while that gets queued up, also, Amy may have mentioned it, but July, our commissions are great, so there's no board. Okay, so as I mentioned last month, we talked about the outdoor event ordinance, and you all as a body had some questions and wanted a little bit more detail about the different events that we have. And so, as you'll notice in your packet, that there was some information provided. Just as a recap, you all were in favor of the new proposed event matrix that would include the impact of an event. You were not in favor of adding a fee to ticketed events, nor for the reduction of a large-scale events that provide an economic benefit to the barrier island. As mentioned during the last presentation, the barrier island, or shall I say, the barrier island itself has approximately 197 events. In downtown or non-barrier island events, we have approximately 192. Now, on the original presentation that I made to the commission, their feedback was that I needed to come to you all to get a number if there was a recommendation on the reduction of events. And part of the conversation that I had last time was to come back to kind of share some details as to how we do that. Currently, as it stands now, we allow applications for vendors, third-party individuals who are producing an event to up to a year or less to submit their application. Only events that are attributed legacy status can, or have multiple events rather, have multiple years under a contract, like a Tortuga, can put their application in further than a year in advance. As part of this process, we are proposing that event promoters would then be advised by us that if they want to keep their date, they would like to keep and continue their activation on with their event, they will need to do so as soon as possible after their event has concluded. And one other thing or two I want to add is that as part of that discussion, we can't really pick and choose which events that we can have or not have. And so from our standpoint, we have to have a transparent process, which is first come, first served.
Didn't the jam pack on the first come, first refused on that date?
No, because each event has a different date, and we can't accept applications outside of their year range. And so if there is an event that falls on the same date, which I don't think really is ever happening, we would then provide alternate dates and times for that activation. Now, other things to consider is we could also restrict times that we have road closures. Right now, by memo by the then city manager, Lee Feldman, road closures on the barrier island had to be reopened by 10 a.m. That could be adjusted if the board saw fit. We could restrict the kind of lane closures that we have. That would be, of course, dependent on the road setup that's available. And then one other thing of note is we could also identify a specific route or location for runs, which is the Snyder Park, we could use the airport. Those are just alternate things just to have on your radar. When we talk about impact, walks and runs are the most impactful because those are the ones that include road closures. And we could also limit those if the board saw fit to do so. And I already mentioned the possibility of reopening and adjusting those road closure times. Now, in your packet that you have, you will notice that there is a breakdown of events. This is what you all requested at the last meeting to get an idea of what kind of events are taking place in the city. And so in 2024, you see those events on the barrier island, and then also those that are off the barrier island. And one thing I want to point to your attention is Commission, of course, wants us not to have more events. And so one of the things that are impactful, as you'll see here, is the walk runs. And that on the barrier island, you'll see there's a total of 14. Off the barrier island, you'll see a total of 9. In 2025, which is to date, and so I'm now asking the board to have a discussion and give me your thoughts on what you would like to recommend Commission to do, and I'll take that back.
I thank you for putting this together on behalf of the board. It's really helpful and in line with not picking and choosing. It's helpful to oversee, like to have a bird's eye view of the type of event and where the impact is and have a better understanding why they want to limit it because of like road closures and disruptions to the neighborhood. So thank you for that.
Yes, so those are Swimming Hall of Fame activations.
So obviously the market 89, but how you describe the impact of the market? Like
I'm glad you asked that question.
thank you.
So the 89 is a large number, and so for some of you all know who Ari Glassman is. She's our city's contracted vendor that is essentially paid to activate the barrier island in the loop. And as part of her contractual obligation, she is to activate the loop with markets, fitness, events, and things of that nature there. So that 89 is a large share of a lot of what her activation is contractual.
But how would you describe the campaigns?
So yeah, so markets are essentially inside the park. There's not
Right.
road closures associated. Now we
Fair
do
to
have
say it's low impact.
that would be a little bit. And that would also go through our event impact matrix that we just created, and then of course we go through that with the coordinator to identify the true impact.
So you said the biggest impact is the events that close the roads. And those are the runs, the triathlons, and things of that nature. Are those the only ones that close the roads unless there's a parade or air show, Tortuga? But yeah.
It's just on the other side.
I mean, it's hard to eliminate the events, but is there a discussion to limit the number of days that roads are closed throughout the year?
So that wasn't really what commissions focus on. I think their focus was more so on getting to a number. Now that number could be I think we're at 389 events now. That number could be 389 and not another event more than 389. That could be 38. It could be 100. It's kind of up to the board to kind of determine like what you feel would be a sound recommendation for commission to consider.
So would that be, how many events a month? Because we
So the number of events per month is going to vary based on the applications that we do receive. Like you know, as you see, like in your packet there, that because there's such a varied amount of events, you know, you may have a run the first weekend of the month, you may have a festival the next 2 weekends, and then you may have another activation the last week. So there, it just varies. Yes.
Okay, so I wasn't here last month, but and I do live on the barrier island, and I kind of feel like you live there, like that's just what you put up with. You live on the beach, and they're going to use the beach. I used to live on Lake Drive in Chicago, and that's just what it is. Like you get to live on the water, and you're going to have a lot of things on the water. But who is like really like who's really upset about the roads being closed down? Like is it the businesses, is it the restaurants, or is it the neighbors? Like who's really upset about this?
So I would say the businesses, of course, want as many events as they could have,
Right.
because that drives an economic connotation to them. But it's more of a residential impact. I will attest that we do get complaints from time to time about how frequent we have events on the barrier island. I believe these are also the same complaints that get in the ear of our commissioners who say, hey, I can't get out of my house here because I got road closure and I have to drive half a mile away to get to where I need to go. So I think it's a mix of a couple of those things, but ideally this is just, I would ascertain it to be more about a resident.
So we can continue discussion, but can I have a motion? Are we at a point we're having a motion?
Yep.
We can always continue discussion on that. But is there a motion for proposing a number of events that should happen in a year? He mentioned that 389 was their current level for a year.
Can I ask one more
Yes.
question? Remind me what your recommendation was.
So that's another good question. So I don't want to skew, but to try to get to answer your question is that the commission is very concerned about the growing number of events on the barrier island, and the idea is that in downtown for that matter, and the idea is that we do put some guardrails in to control that number. And so my thought would be we know where we have now. We know we have about 389 events. I know there was concerns earlier about, well, what stops one event from coming versus another. And I think we can kind of deal with that on a first basis, putting that onus back on the promoters to address that part. So from our department standpoint, you know, we are the administrators and we can process 400, we can process 50. But it kind of, to me, and this is just me speaking, that we probably don't want to go more than that.
I agree with that.
I have a question. Let's say that somebody comes down the line and it's like such an amazing event that we cannot refuse to have it. I mean, not to have it. And we've got this kind of like set number now, and that's the limit.
So,
You bounce out someone else's permit, right?
so
No?
It's first
no,
come, first
so
served.
I think there's a couple things with all this. So with the introduction of the new fee matrix, I think we'll take some of that pressure off anyway. There's a real interest of the city to acquire more funding for the use of the resource of our barrier island and downtown areas. And so from that vantage point, I think there will be some promoters that may elect to go somewhere else to have their event as opposed to stay here and pay the newer fees. And then also, I think there's an opportunity for any event to come before commission and say, hey, we have this amazing idea, similar to the Oceans of Soul. There was also a really big push at the time to not have any large scale events, but in December we'll have another large scale event, which is the Oceans of Soul, because it provides a true economic benefit, which is something that the beach business improvement district thoroughly.
Is there a way to do this a little bit differently, like rather than setting a cap? You mentioned the new fee matrix. Like, when is the new fee matrix going to be implemented, or has it already been implemented already?
So in August or September, I'll be doing a follow-up presentation to the commission. And at that point, they would then give me direction to move forward with these parameters that I'm presenting to you all today, or adjust them based on their temperature and feedback that they get from you all. I think I mentioned this in our previous presentation. We met with the Central Beach Alliance, we met with the Beach Improvement District, and they all provided feedback. So I'm basically presenting to them that for them to make a final determinations on these steps.
So I guess what I'm sort of like proffering is, would it be possible to, rather than setting like a hard limit, which is sort of arbitrary, to maybe use the fee matrix in a way to make it such that, you know, it naturally limits the number of events that are hosted, so that, you know, if they want less events to be hosted, then the fee matrix sort of like filters that out, as opposed to putting a set cap. Like, there's a really amazing event. It would be a shame for that event to not occur just because, well, we had said 389 and this is 390, you know, whereas maybe if the fee matrix was adjusted a little bit, it would just naturally filter out some of the events that sponsors may choose to go somewhere to a different city where either it's a little bit cheaper or it's a little bit more different. So, like, rather than setting a set numbers, or another way we can address this.
So I think that the event fee matrix will do that. Like, once we implement that and once that direction is given for us to move forward, I believe that will happen. Now, the direction that I was given was where does it go? So,
well, can I make a motion to delay a vote until after the fee matrix decision is made?
so the fee matrix is a part of that. So it kind of has to be baked into that conversation.
Okay, yes, Marta.
Carl, can you go back to the slide number 2? I kind of want to speak before. First, no, I'm sorry. This is commission direction. Let's read that slide. That's what they want us to do. I know it's complicated. I know nobody will ever say it was the solid number. 2, 8, 3, 9, but this is our job to figure this out. So that's why we have a representative to each district here to figure this out. So when the car goes back in September to commissioners, he can submit obviously the matrix for it. I don't think this discussion and debate versus that's gonna lower or increase, who knows? People have a money, maybe increase it happens. But it's clear recommendation from our commissioners to tell, hey, figure this out. It's a difficult decision, but we want less events. Residents are complaining, there's a lot of impacts on the roads, and not only, maybe low impact, but there's track people coming to see those events, right? So that's why we're here. So let's not to tell Carol that, you know what, we want about time and go back to the commission and say that the board decided to debate the next 6 months about this.
So what number would you like?
I'm sorry, one second. I know you're trying to respond to her, but yes,
Yeah,
please,
real
Sean.
quick. We already have an issue because 2025, the Barrier Islands 12 events in last year. So then if we're going to limit something, then you got to limit that
And I
right
think
now.
that's why we're here. And that's why there's a clear direction. There's no debate what's supposed to be.
So I'm sorry, the chair. I'm sorry, Michelle. Solomon, do you want to respond?
Well, I was going to say, okay, like you're saying that we need to come up with a number. So what number would you offer?
And again, we can discuss, okay, the large walk it up. 1 month now, or maybe we do every quarter, let's figure this out. And that's why we asked Carol last month to tell us what time of event. So we're not having just the number. So we can say we can accommodate, I don't know, 1 time in a month, we can accommodate event that it's gonna flag rock. right? So one-time amount, the resident's gonna have to deal with the traffic and teachers, but no more than one-time amount. And it has to be on the weekends, has to be, I don't know, I'm just giving the example.
I'm sorry, 1 second, Rochelle. I'm just trying to do it in order, so I'm sorry.
So, I hear you, both of you. I'm just, questioning, let's say we find the limit, right? And let's say that in the metrics, because they love being here, everybody will find the money to be here. Now we stuck with not getting, because you say, fee, will limit some of the people. But let's say the fee does not limit some of the people, and that everybody decides to stay.
We still have to present a number. So my proposal is, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Ina.
I'm just thinking if we propose a number, we can always change that number at some point, right? It's not right.
Well,
So
yeah, just so I just want to clarify for
Yeah.
I have to jump in because staff is gonna propose it in the form of an ordinance.
Sure.
So of course it's gonna have first and second reading. So whatever it is that we present that the commission ultimately approves in the second reading, if you all choose to change it or the commission to, so it's gonna be in the form of amending
Sure.
that ordinance. I just want to clarify.
thank you. Yeah, that makes sense.
Based on the information he provided and like further explanation, I feel like maybe a reduction on the barrier island is better, like a greater reduction on the barrier island versus downtown. So we can do any number. It can be a flat number, or it can be, say, barrier island is 150, and the downtown, I can't do math. So say the max is 350. So whatever that is.
Or
You know, it can be staggered. It doesn't have to be across the board.
or Madam Chair, I'll
Yes.
defer to direct reports, but you can also take it as a line item.
Which
like-
someone did present
Right.
as a category.
Right.
Reducing, I heard somebody was saying like reducing the number of races. So
I wonder if
options.
I wonder if we're
But me too, I think it's extremely important for the board to understand too what the gist of this request is, because each activation isn't the same.
right.
Each activation doesn't have the same.
Yeah.
Each activation doesn't have the same draw, if you will, as others. So, but you certainly can pick and choose whether you want to do just the Barrier Island and reduce that from 97 to 190 or 5. But I urge you to stay away from just saying, okay, swimming, let's take that to
Yeah,
5.
because we don't know the
because,
economic impact. We don't know the
those are also city events also.
Yeah.
And that's why I said maybe you limit the number of events where there's actually road closures, because that's the biggest issue that we're finding.
But I
So-
love a road closure because the turkey trot. That's what I do
But
before I eat.
if that's the biggest issue they're worried about,
Yeah.
that's where,
Do you limit it to 1 a month? That makes it 12,
well, you already have right now, you already have, how many are
24, 25, 26, 27.
So Director Carl is suggesting that we don't do that we don't
Yeah.
just cherry pick in that
Well,
category.
one thing I do want to also address too is that this past weekend we had Florida campus. That wasn't an event that we necessarily planned. And so, to answer your concern, if there are events that come up that the commission is interested in proceeding with, they'll happen.
The big ones, exactly.
Our pet
the
project.
commission will override this. So that, I don't think that's a word at all. But if they want a number, start where the problem is. The problem is the number of events that close roads. That's what I'm hearing. So
And that's sort of where I was sort of leading
Yeah.
to with like the matrix of like maybe they could just increase the fees for events that have road closures so that it becomes sort of prohibitive or more prohibitive than it currently is. But it's
Yes, so that's a great point, and it's also what drove our event fee matrix. So, like those events that have those road closures, that have amplified reading, that have earlier use sand or all of those things, total up to a number that leads to an increase.
yeah, so that's what I'm saying. That's like my thought is like, okay, well maybe the answer is already in the works with the fee matrix. And this just becomes sort of like an arbitrary thing. That's why I was thinking it's possible to postpone it until the fee matrix is put in place. and the results come in from that. And if next year it's like, okay, this is out of control, then okay, then maybe some more.
It sounds like it has to be together. It's a
Yeah, but we haven't had the fee matrix put in place yet.
but this is part of presenting the fee matrix.
Well, not
So,
necessarily,
yeah,
because
so-
like the
They
fee
ask
matrix
for
can
two things.
the fee matrix can be put in place without putting an arbitrary number on.
I'm sorry, let me have you not speak, yes.
So I completely agree it's arbitrary. We were asked to do it. I suggest 400 because you said we could go up to 400. It gives us a random number. I think the fee matrix is probably going to solve the problem anyway because Carl's suggesting not to do it by category. So this is, to me, the 400 is arbitrary. It doesn't matter. Let's just do that.
I'm gonna go back
11
to
more. So we're preparing ourselves because we're
I
giving
mean-
ourselves some flexibility.
okay, good, thank you. So I will request a motion. We can always have discussion. What happens is you have a motion, you have a second, further discussion, and then a vote. So may I please have a motion?
I'm going to make a motion. I propose we say there's 400 events as the max for both the barrier and the downtown. And I think the barrier is on the left and downtown's on the right.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Do we have more discussion? We can have more discussion. We have a number now.
I feel like go with the number, I'll say yes or no.
Than the number of the 25.
Well, just so
growth.
if you look on 2025, that's just to date. So we're on
We're not
pace
even
to probably do
there.
over 400 this year.
Oh, I see.
And also, I do apologize. I did not introduce Vic Henry. She is the one that does all the magic things here out there. So,
I agree.
Hey,
So I'm comfortable with 400, assuming there will be natural attrition with the new matrix fix. And then that does give a little wiggle room for a new event to come in, whether it's small, medium, or large. Yes, Martha.
So, Carl, can you clarify that the commission asked to reduce the number of current events,
yes.
or they did ask to make a cap because we have a bylaw?
Yeah, they say restrict. So
Yes.
what does restrict mean?
So their direction to me was to. We currently have 2 new events on the barrier island. They want to reduce that.
so the unanimous vote.
It doesn't need a unanimous vote, but it does need to, I guess you'd say,
And
No, I'm saying when they requested it, was it like a unanimous vote or was it?
no, that was, so it was during like a discussion, part of like a conference, and that was, the feedback that I was getting from.
Okay.
so to March's point, we still have a motion on the floor, so can we vote? And then if that doesn't pass, then another person can bring another motion. Or if you don't want to, if somebody else. Okay, yes,
Oh, just take the motion to vote.
yes, I'll call the vote. Thank you.
Okay. Miss, I'm sorry, Miss Foster.
I think she called next.
Okay, Mr. Eckstein,
Yes.
Ms. Apotheker, yes. Ms. Coatsey.
Yes.
Mr. Fee,
Yes.
Mr. Goff,
Yes.
Ms. Rexo,
No,
Mr. Schoonover,
No.
Ms. Fratsinas,
no.
and Chair Oglesby.
Yes.
Oh,
So where are we? Oh.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So motion passes 6, 3 opposed. Oh, the missing
Oh,
one.
did
Wait a
you say
second.
yes?
No,
I
no,
said
she said no.
So I think the entire line here said no, so it's
No.
5.
Rochelle.
Oh, did you say yes?
Reluctantly. Reluctantly, yeah. Yes.
Just 1 second. Yep. So, 6 yeses, 3 noes.
So motion carries.
Motion carries.
Okay. Thank you. I know it's a very difficult decision for us. I spent a lot of time in the last meeting, and thank you, Director Carl, for coming back with more details.
May I ask him how he feels about it? Just for How do you feel about the 400 number? Yes.
I think that it is a reasonable approach. I think commission will probably, it's important that I get the sentiment that they'll probably reduce that. But I think that it's a good step in the right direction, so at least they understand the discussion that was happening.
And I think in that number, at least for me, I wanted to be able to have more events come up because if it's first come, first served, because understanding there is attrition, so hopefully they can understand we have, like, that was one of the concerns.
I certainly agree to not turn down the major policy events that will bring up the because all the others before and somehow find the money to stay.
But then it could be a debate of like the
You
date.
can throw the major money at it.
Yes, I hate that. Everyone has their own opinion about what's good.
Yeah, what's a quality event? Okay, so now, thank you, Dr. Carl. New business? Do you have new business? Does anybody want to reduce the parks number? New business, we run parks, right? Any additional new business? Any, so nobody has issues from their department or district? Okay, well, we're adjourned. Wow.
Yeah, I love that.